Hello, this is Carolyn from holidaystoeurope.com.au, and today I am speaking with Graeme Clark from Walkabout-Gourmet Tours. Graeme is speaking to us from France today. How are you, Graeme?
Good, thanks, Carolyn. Yes, no, very well. It's good to see the sun shining over here at last after all the cold, freezing weather we've had. So, no, it's a lovely day.
Excellent. So you'd be looking forward to a really nice summer walking season.
Yes, it's about to start. So now looking forward to spring over here. So, yeah, it's all about to happen. So, yep, getting close.
Good. So now I believe that Walkabout Gourmet Tours was the pioneer, really, of gourmet walking tours. How did you come up with the idea and where was your first tour?
Yes, well, it all happened back in 1986. So Gabriella and I, we started the company, and we came up with the idea then because I'd always had a love for bushwalking, and Gabriella was always involved. She had been involved in the food industry as a chef, and so we both sort of toyed with the idea of perhaps opening a restaurant, but I sort of always wanted to do something with bushwalking, and so we thought perhaps we could combine our two loves, and that's when Walkabout Gourmet Adventures was born, when we combined our interest for food and our interest for walking.
Great. Well, it's obviously been really successful because you've been operating for a long time now. So where did your first tour visit?
Well, we started the first 2 years, we were just operating in Australia because our original idea was to offer tours for Europeans coming to Australia. So we started doing the Australian tours, and our first tour was actually the Great Ocean Road and the Otways. So that was our very first tour. Mm-hmm. But then after 1 or 2 years, we actually found that the local Victorians, Australians, they were the people who were attracted to our Australian tours more so than perhaps the Europeans. So we concentrated on the local market. But then, of course, the Australians said, well, if you go to Europe every year, which we did, mm-hmm. Can't we come with you? Can't you organise some tours in Europe for us? So we thought, oh, why not? We'll do one. And our first tour to Europe was, we combined 3 countries, Alsace in France, the Black Forest in Germany, and an area I think you know well in Switzerland, the Lauterbrunnen area, the Bernese Oberland.
Yeah, another beautiful region. So now, and not only with those 3 countries, but you also go to many other countries. Can you tell us some of the different other destinations that you visit?
That's right. Well, we now have about 15 European countries which we visit on our tours. So we have quite a few in France because we're actually based in France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Germany, some of the former Eastern Bloc countries, Poland, Slovakia, Slovenia. We also go to Croatia, Greece, and we also go up to Northern Europe. Up to Norway. So, yeah, we basically cover nearly all of Europe, yeah.
You've certainly got something there to suit everyone. If they've been to Italy before, well, obviously you've got somewhere else that they can consider. So how many participants do your tours cater for, and what sort of level of fitness do the guests need to have?
Yeah, we specialise in personalised tours, so the absolute maximum we have on our tours is 16 participants, and with 16 participants we always have 2 guides. So we always have, we actually have 2 9-seater minibuses to transport the guests. So we feel that it's a cozier group if we have 2 smaller vehicles rather than 1 large vehicle. And also a lot of the villages we're visiting, as you know, when you're traveling in Europe, the roads are very narrow and some of the villages are very tight. So we prefer to use the smaller vehicles. In terms of the fitness level, we cater for people who are active. You don't have to be a gung-ho bushwalker to join our tours, but anyone who's healthy and active can really join our tours. And the thing that really impresses us is that a lot of people initially think, oh, maybe they're not up to it, they're not capable of doing the walks. But when you do a walking tour with a group of people, you have the advantage of, you have the encouragement of the group, and because you're talking and looking at the scenery, at the end of the day, you know, people ask, well, how far did we actually walk today? You know, and I might say, oh, well, today was 15 or 16 kilometres. They say, oh, that's not possible. I can't walk 15 or 16 kilometres. But when you're doing it in a group atmosphere, it's just, the time goes, and it's lovely.
And you're probably, they're so, you know, gobsmacked by the beautiful scenery that they don't realise they're walking very far anyway.
They don't, no, because, I mean, you know, the scenery is just gorgeous. You know, you're walking through the countryside and visiting little villages, and the time just passes. And so the pace is always leisurely too. That's really important, that, you know, we have plenty of breaks. You know, you're there to smell the roses, so to speak. So it's definitely not a race. You know, it's just, it's an opportunity for people to experience another side of Europe. And of course, walking's the best way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you mentioned before about Gabriella's love of food and cooking. So I guess that meals play a big part in your tours.
Yes, they do. That's the carrot at the end of the day, if you'd like to look at it that way. We always try and offer our guests the regional food. So, you know, the sort of food that perhaps people wouldn't necessarily find themselves, or perhaps wouldn't be game to order if they're in a restaurant because of perhaps language problems or just not knowing what the specialties are. So that's certainly a real highlight of our tours, to actually introduce people to the local cuisine. So when we're in France, it's French food, Italy, Italian food. We're not trying to offer guests, you know, international food in a particular country, but it's the regional food. That's the whole idea. That's the concept.
Yeah, great. Now, you also mentioned that you're based in France, and I understand that you have some apartments in Provence that you rent out. So if someone perhaps is doing one of your tours and wants to stay on a little longer, they might like to rent one of your apartments.
Yeah, that's a very popular thing. We have a lot of guests who either come and join us in Provence before a tour, or alternatively afterwards. And yeah, our apartments are in the village where we live. So it's Forcalquier, which is about an hour and a quarter north of the Mediterranean, north of Marseille and Aix-en-Provence. So it's a beautiful area. It's just located on the edge of the famous Luberon Valley. But we tend to say that it's in the middle of everywhere you really need to visit when you're in Provence, because you're close to the old Roman cities. You're close to the coast, an hour and a quarter away from the Mediterranean if you want to visit the sea. And then because we're in Upper Provence, we're just in the foothills of the southern French Alps. So you can, in an hour and a quarter again, you can be up right in amongst those beautiful French Alps. So it's a great location. And also the apartment themselves, the apartments, we have 3, and they're in a beautiful old manor house, which we've sort of painstakingly restored over the last 10 years. And that's in the centre of the old town. So once people are there, at night, they don't have to drive anywhere to go to the restaurants or the cafes. They can just walk down. In 5 minutes, they're down in the centre of the village and visit all the lovely restaurants and cafes down there. But it's also at the end of a no-through road, which leads to a hilltop park. So it's perfectly quiet as well. So you have that added bonus.
That sounds great. Now, of course, people can get all the information about Walkabout Gourmet tours and your apartments from holidaystoeurope.com.au. But if they'd like some more information, or they'd like to speak to someone, you have an office in Australia. Would you like to give us the phone number if they would like to call for inquiries?
Yes, certainly, Caroline. The office is in Sydney, so they can contact us there on 02 9871 5526.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for your time, Graeme, and I hope you have a fantastic walking season this year.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Bye.
Bye for now.